Hi, my name is Deanna and today we're going to be making some traditional Indian dishes. Chicken tikka masala, Indian rice pudding, and some traditional naan bread. Indian cooking is known for its vibrant use of spices and herbs. The difference between those two being that herbs are made with the leafy part of the plant, while spices are made from the bark, root, or seeds of the plant. Herbs and spices are used to flavor dishes because they're powerful aromatics. And flavor comes from both taste and smell, and there are only a handful of tastes, so what makes the difference in your dish is the odors that you use, or the aromatic spices and herbs that you use. There are thousands of odors, and so Indian food is known for its sophisticated use of both of those things. So to start our chicken masala, what we're going to do is I marinated these chicken breasts for 9 hours in a mixture of plain Greek yogurt, lime, and garlic. The plain yogurt has a lot of fatty acids in it, which are able to hold on to the garlic aromatic molecules and really get the flavor deep into the chicken. What we're going to do to start is place these chicken breasts on the grill. And we need to cook these all the way through and get them nice and charred on the outside. To begin the sauce for the masala, we're going to use some white onion, and we're going to finely dice this in the way that Chef Brian told us how to do in class. Super easy, simple way to get your onion diced perfectly each time. So we have one large onion, and we're going to add that to our frying pan with a half stick of butter that has been melted. Usually in Indian dishes they use something called ghee, which is just clarified butter, but since I did not have the time to do that, we're just going to use regular butter on it. And we're just going to let these brown up a bit. And while we're doing that, we are going to make our spice mixture, which in India is usually called gram masala, and it's just a mixture of different spices. Alright, so our spice mixture is going to be a mix of 1 tablespoon of coriander, 1.5 teaspoons of cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. The cayenne pepper is going to be the hottest between the two peppers, so you can adjust the spiciness level with the amount of cayenne that you're adding. One way that Indian cuisine is different from other cuisines is that they use a sophisticated technique for bringing out the aromatics of their herbs and spices. They usually use the butter or the ghee that we talked about earlier and fry their herbs in the butter mixture for a while so that the aromatic compounds can integrate together and form a deeper flavor. So we'll add our spice blend to the onions and kind of toast that in the butter and onion mixture until you can really smell all the different flavors coming out. We need to flip our chicken over here. Alright, we'll let that go for a little bit longer. We need to add to our spice and onion mixture is the ginger, and I just wanted to show you a really easy way of peeling ginger, and that is to take a spoon and just press it, and you kind of just shove all that peel off. And ginger is the root of a plant, so that makes it a spice. Alright, and we're just going to grate some of this fresh ginger. And we're going to put that and add that in there. Bring out some of that flavor using the heat. Spices and herbs are volatile compounds, so adding heat to the mix really lets the aromatic compounds escape from those. Tomato puree into the sauce. And tomatoes are red because of the compound lycopene, which is a conjugated molecule, which means it has double bonds separated by one single bond, and those reflect the light wavelengths in the visible spectrum, so that's why we can see it as a color. Now we're going to add a half cup of heavy cream, and heavy cream has a large amount of milk fat in it, which are not water soluble, they're fat soluble. And spices really like to interact with fat soluble molecules because they themselves are very oil-like. They do not dissolve in water. So the fat molecules in the heavy cream are really going to latch on to those spices and let the flavor come out slowly. Alright. Those look good. In cooking every dish you make, you want to make sure it's properly seasoned. So what we consider seasoning the dish is adding pepper, black pepper, which is a spice. It's a seed from a climbing vine, actually, and the salt. Salt is important because it helps you really taste all the flavors in a dish, and if it's lacking, then it doesn't really matter how many spices you put in, you still won't be able to taste them quite as well without the salt. To finish up this dish, we're just going to cut up our chicken breast that has been grilled and throw it into the sauce and let it simmer for a while. While our chicken masala is simmering here, we are going to start the rice pudding. And to start that, we're going to add 2 cups of coconut milk into a large heavy bottom pot. I'll turn the heat on high because we want to get this boiling. As well as 2 cups of regular milk. And then 3 tablespoons of white sugar. We're going to let that sugar dissolve and the liquids start to boil. Now this is boiling, which means that the vapor pressure of the liquid is equal to the atmospheric pressure, and so it is turning into a gas. So now we can add our rice and our cardamom. Give that a stir. And then we're just going to reduce the heat to a simmer and cook that down for about 20 minutes until the rice absorbs all the liquid that's in there. Now we're going to start our naan bread, which is a traditional yeast risen bread that they make in India. And I started already, so this is our flour, bread flour, which has more gluten in it than all-purpose flour, which is used to create that structure that traps the gas molecules. And in the case of naan, we're using yeast, so we know that yeast breaks down the starches or sugar in the bread and converts it into CO2, and then that gets trapped in the gluten network and causes the bread to rise. So we're going to add some garlic, some fresh garlic to this dough, and we just have a couple cloves of peeled garlic. We're going to mince that using a nifty garlic tool. Alright, that's all nice and minced, and then we're going to take our dough out of the oil bowl and just knead in that garlic. Kneading is another place where we can incorporate some air bubbles into the bread, which will also contribute to the rising. And once we get all that garlic incorporated into the dough, we're just going to pinch off some small sections and flatten them out. And then these are going to have to do this second rising. And that'll take about 30 minutes for those to double in size. And then we're going to use a very hot grill and just quickly grill the bread. And the bread is super elastic right now, so it is going back to its original shape because of those gluten proteins. And so during the second rising, that'll also allow the dough some time to relax a bit and flatten out a little bit more. Alright, both of our dishes here are finished, and the only thing we need to do is garnish them. So for this rice pudding, we're just going to add a little bit more of the cardamom. There's that. Stir that in, and that is ready to go. We just need to let it cool off for a little while. And then to finish the chicken marsala, what we're going to do is we're going to use some cilantro. Cilantro is an herb because it is the leafy part of the plant. Try and find a knife here. And cilantro and coriander are actually the same thing, which is interesting. I did not know that until today. Cilantro, what we call cilantro, is just the leafy part of the plant, while the coriander comes from the seed of the plant. So we just need to pick off some of those leaves. And the reason that cilantro is used as a garnish mostly is because it is just really mild, and if it's heated, the spice is so volatile that it'll just kind of all escape into the air, and none of the flavor will actually be added to the dish if we just overheat it. So I'll just give it a rough chop there. Make sure all the stems are out. And then just sprinkle that over the finished dish. That is ready to be eaten now. Alright, so now we're going to finish up the naan. Now that it's risen for 30 minutes, it's a lot more pliable and easy to stretch out. So we're just going to take the dough, stretch it out a bit, and add it to the hot grill. And that needs to grill for about 2 to 4 minutes per side. Alright, to make it extra good, we're going to add a pat of butter to each piece while it's cooking. Now the naan is finished, so I'll just take that off the grill and we can serve it with those other two dishes that we made. Naan can be either a sweet bread or a savory bread, just depending on what you put in it. This one is savory since we did put the garlic in the dough. And those are all finished. Thanks for cooking with me. I hope you learned some chemistry and how to cook some really good food along the way.